articulate, and whether or not we think he borrows from stuff or not is besides the point. The fact is, he doesn't engage in the type of stuff that you did, and I think he's pretty open about saying whether something is complex or not. He was speaking merely from his perspective, but then for you to turn right around and then you to post the videos you do about Christianity, all the while, holding up these criteria about what he should be doing when you yourself aren't doing them. Come on, Peter. What's that about?
Well, first of all, I never said that I couldn't characterize the Christian worldview in any way better than suck the God cock. I admit that that's just an irreverent phrase. But again, my most recent video was a parroting back or a mirroring of what I thought was sort of the sort of okay, this is what you believe I should be like. Well, okay, then I'll act that out. But hold on, I lost track of what you said. I'm sorry. It's.
You said, I'm not sure what might be a better humorous way to describe a life spent on your knees, giving God the pleasure of blah blah blah. Okay. You really, really, Peter, unapologetic. Like, here you are, you criticize Veritas 48, but you yourself are not demonstrating the very expectations and standards that you're desiring for him to accomplish. And I think in this way, I would say there's some inconsistency here. So in one sense, you want him to give you something, but you yourself are not willing to demonstrate it in your own life in your responses to other people and their beliefs. But you want treatment for that with reference to your understanding of the way things are. I think it begins with the individual demonstrating it in their own life first.
Well, in the very same video that you're reading the description from, I went on to unpack why I don't think that the explanation of a God-based meaning for life really stacks up, really, makes our lives more livable or more meaningful in that actual video itself. Of course I could sit for 5 minutes and unpack the Christian worldview, but that wouldn't really be a phrase, and I think that's really missing the point. I'm willing to unpack and discuss what my points are if confronted on them, and the fact is that when actually brought up objections, and before I made this video, it was before Veritas's latest video, where in his latest video he did at least address some of the things that people were asking him about. But at the time I made his video, the text comments which he left led me to believe that people were bringing up serious objections, or he was aware of objections to what he was saying, and he wasn't interested in dealing with basic issues like why his alternative is supposedly a more palatable or more consistent or whatever sort of option.
But really, that wasn't the purpose of his video. His purpose wasn't to convince you, Tooltime, Peter. His purpose was to demonstrate why he thought so. And it seems to me, once again, not very fair for me to approach someone's thing if they're talking about why it is for them, to then hold up what I think it should be for me. And he was very clear in his video what it was about. It was about what it is for him. Now, certainly you can disagree. But I don't know. Peter, I just think that there's just some inconsistency in the way that you're treating Veritas 48, and I think it's just because of the fact that he's a Christian and the fact that he presented the views that he did in the way he did. Because I don't see you treating other non-Christian folks like that. Did you respond to :666 by saying, look, you know what, you really didn't demonstrate an adequate understanding of those arguments, and you simply saying you don't know what they are, but going on to mock Veritas 48 isn't a really, did you do that? I don't think you did. So once again, I'm questioning your consistency here.
Well, Jack, I realize that when somebody makes a video that it's not a live interactive discussion such as this where they can respond back immediately. But imagine I were to say something like, yeah, Jesus, he was a fucking idiot, and everything he said was stupid and blah, 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 blah. And imagine that you were to confront me with all sorts of objections like, what about this, what about that? And I would be like, well, that's beside the point, or or you would something that you would often say, like, well, what framework are you criticizing from? That would be something that you would often say, on how are you evaluating what Jesus said? And I would go, well, that's beside the point. How I evaluate what Jesus said is beside the point. I don't have to address those. What then would you think of my previous statements about the stupidity of Jesus? And that's what I'm saying about Veritas 48. Not that I realize the fact that his video was not, nor could it be, an all-encompassing answer that predicted all possible objections and arguments, and then dismissed each and every one of those, or rebutted each and every one of those in advance. It was born out of a frustration with the simple fact that he didn't seem willing to even rebut objections when they were posed, and was just sort of dismissive of with various things like that's beside the point, or I guess how many people have shot themselves because of meaningless or things like that. And as far as Coughlin 666, I actually did think that in my head, but I don't even think that I left a text comment in the video. I mean, I'll go ahead and tell him that if you want, but.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, you did say this. You said Veritas says that attacks on theist arguments is insufficient, but he seems to utterly fail to grasp that if all theistic arguments fail to show compellingly that there's a God, then we have no reason to believe there is one. And then you go on to basically say, look, I've never heard a positive argument against the existence of unicorns. So by Veritas logic, I should believe in them. Once again, failing to understand the context in which he was doing his video, which is very clear, as I've said over and over again, was to demonstrate why he as an individual is not an atheist. And it seems to me that some people take really strong issue with others explaining in a rational, logical way why they aren't atheists, which I find to be very odd, given that atheism is the belief or lack thereof regarding the existence of a God, and it's supposed to be so free-thinking and so liberating, and yet when a Christian presents arguments why they aren't, everyone avoids. It seems to me you place all these amazing, profound expectations of him on what he should have said and how he should have gotten to all this that you yourself are not even consistent with in your own videos.